It's time for Twig This Week in Google. Stacy, Jeff, and Matthew Ingram are all here. We're going to lead off with a discussion of our new chairman of the FCC. Will he run roughshod over net neutrality? I'm not so sure. That and a lot more coming up next on Twig.
Netcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is Twig.
Bandwidth for This Week in Google is provided by Cachefly. CACHEFLY.com. Hi, this is Leo Laporte, and once again, time for Twit's audience survey. We'd really like to hear from you. It's only going to take a couple of minutes, really. That's all. Just go to twit.tv/survey and let us know what you think. Your anonymous feedback will help us make Twit even better. And thanks for your continued support. This is Twig, This Week in Google, episode 389, recorded Wednesday, January 25th, 2017. Ajit Prop. This Week in Google brought to you by Rocket Mortgage from Quicken Loans. When it comes to the big decision of choosing a mortgage lender, work with one that has your best interest in mind. Use Rocket Mortgage for a transparent, trustworthy home loan process that's completely online at quickenloans.com/twig. And by Blue Apron. Blue Apron will send you fresh, high-quality ingredients to cook delicious meals with simple step-by-step instructions right to your door. See what's on the menu this week and get your first 3 meals free with free shipping by going to blueapron.com/twig. And by Betterment, a smart, easy-to-use, and less expensive way to invest for your financial future. Get 1 month managed free when you make an initial deposit of $10,000 or more at betterment.com/twig. It's time for Twig This Week at Google, a show where we cover the latest news from the Googleverse, the internet, and life. Joining us at his own peril, Matthew Ingram, who is on death's door, or at least he sounds that way from Fortune.com.
No, not at all.
But you're feeling fine. You just sound like you aged 20 years.
Yes.
Our friends to the north are suffering from a very cold winter this year. Cold and damp, right?
Yeah, it actually hasn't been that bad, but the flu's been going around. Yeah. It's really, really bad.
Yeah, it's a nasty flu. Also here, Jeff Jarvis. He's back from Davos. He's not in Japan, nor is he in the hospital. He's fine and fed as a fiddle.
Yeah, I should learn on Facebook when you say, oh, yeah, I was in the hospital a couple days ago. Oh, it's fine. You know, the outpouring is wonderful, but it's like, I'm not dying. It's okay. Yeah. I just let you know what's going on.
Well, once you get to a certain age, which Jeff and I are at, and you start seeing people pass away younger than you, you start to realize that this isn't going to go on forever.
Nope.
Feels like it should. Donald Trump gave him AFib. That's the story, and I'm
sticking to it.
Also here from Austin, Texas, she's the queen of IoT, Stacy Higginbotham. Stacy on IoT. Hi, Stacy. Look at that smile. See, everything's better when Stacy's here.
I don't know. You just called me bitter, so I feel like, oh, bitter.
Well, I meant Stacy's finally. Let's say the bloom is off the rose for Stacy.
I don't think you should say that. I think that means you're old, doesn't it?
No. I meant we're the rose, and the bloom is off the rose. From your point of view, you finally seen through what you thought was a distinguished panel of experts talking about the week's Google news. You realized, no, that's not what this show's about at all.
I gotta say, maybe I shouldn't say this, but I kind of like how, given the March last weekend, the headsets have a certain Princess Leia look.
They're good. She's the
these are my old Princess Leia headsets.
Yeah, they're great. Yeah,
those are nice looking, actually.
They are.
They're lovely.
I loved that you could see pictures of Princess Leia throughout the march.
I loved that too. I'm kind of sad. Yes. Like, I would love one of those posters.
What was she doing?
Something
holding
resistance.
A lightsaber.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, was the light? I guess
Not
it was
saying "Help me, Obi-Wan Kenobi."
No, most of them said a woman's place is in the resistance.
That's what it was.
I like that.
That's what it was.
Oh, the resistance. Yeah, of course. Just don't forget what happened to the freedom fighters in the resistance.
Yeah.
We suffered extreme losses to get us those Death Star plans. So 2 words. We'll start the show with Ajit Pai, the new chairman of the FCC. He is okay. I'm going to say there's many good things about Ajit Pai. For one thing, unlike a number of other appointees by our new president, he has some experience in the FCC. In fact, he is a commissioner and has been appointed by Barack Obama in 2012. He is elevated to chairman for one thing because he's a Republican member of the FCC Commission, but he's also doesn't have to be approved, at least until later this year when his term would normally run out. So somebody can jump right in. Now, I think maybe somewhat unfairly, he's been painted as a virulent net neutrality hater.
Why do you think that's unfair? He's actively stated in...
You said it.
Yeah.
Well, yes, I think that's not fair. I think...
Okay.
Daily Beast hates net neutrality.
Yeah, well, that's the Daily Beast saying that.
Okay, we'll stop this right here.
Yeah.
I've covered the net neutrality debates since before he was a commissioner. So, but once he became a commissioner in 2012, I read his opinions on all of the net neutrality hearings. He is very much against net neutrality. He's very much against any regulation. Does this make him...
He's against something that many people, including John Perry Barlow and members of the board of the EFF, are against, which is too much government intervention in the internet.
Okay, but that
what I would say he is against is against the use of Title II of the Telecommunications Act to enforce net neutrality. I wouldn't say he's against net neutrality in general.
He is very much a free marketeer. He's a former Verizon telecom lawyer, and I know that coming after everyone was like, Tom Wheeler was a former cable lobbyist and wireless lobbyist. But in his opinions, he makes no secret of the fact that he doesn't think that the government should mess with any sort of discrimination on pipes at all. Like, if you read his opinions, that is straight up what he said.
I'm going to tell you a few things that I think are very good about him, but let me read this quote to him from 2014 before he was being considered as the chairman, obviously. This is when he was a commissioner, and this is when the debate began on net neutrality. We should not let that debate obscure some important common ground, namely a bipartisan consensus in favor of a free and open internet, the freedom to access lawful content, the freedom to use applications, the freedom to attach personal devices to the network, the freedom to obtain service plan information. Respect for these four internet freedoms has aided the internet's tremendous growth over the years. It's shielded online competitors from anti-competitive practices. He said many times, I don't think it's okay for an internet service provider to slow anybody down. He's dead set against that. I think that it's this is, by the way, I should point out from a Forbes article saying, why is the media smearing new FCC chair Ajit Pai as the enemy of net neutrality? And Forbes has a particular angle on this. I do think it's safe to say he's against government regulation of the internet.
He is. So
he wants to take a weed whack to it.
Leo, he said it's a solution that won't work to a problem that doesn't exist. I don't see how
he's not alone in thinking that. There are a lot of people who say that. I think he's particularly talking about Title II, that the decision to regulate.
To a
we
problem
went
that
with
doesn't
Title
exist.
II. Wait, here we go though. Let's because if this is your like little glitch here, Title II, the FCC actually originally when they were doing this, they didn't want to go Title II. The very first net neutrality,
and they had no legal justification for not. In fact, the judge said you can't do that. The FCC can only do what Congress mandates.
Okay, so there's two things here. Way back in the day when Janikowski was doing his 2010, I think it was 2010, but it might have been 2011 net neutrality plan, the original net neutrality plan, that got kicked back because they didn't have that justification, congressional justification. But that judge did say it kind of opened the door to doing Title II.
The judge gave them away. He said, well, if you would have used Title, we had this, you're new to this. We've had this long conversation about this many, many times. The judge was very clear that the FCC did not have a legal mandate to do it the way that Janikowski wanted to do it.
Right.
But if they were to choose Title II of the Telecommunications Act, what you have to understand is the FCC can't do anything without a direct congressional mandate. So they need to find in the code, they need to have direct justification for them regulating it. Many people Many people said Title II is a very bad choice because it turns telecommunications providers into regulated utilities, and it means that the FCC could even do things like set prices. It would it's overarching. The FCC said we would never do that.
Right.
They have, though. Can I point out that they have?
Are we going to talk about information and privacy?
They have. Well, there's a
data
few
regulations.
Things. They have also attempted to set prices on the internet, and I think that
where are you?
Reasonable people can argue over. Look, the general idea, I'm going to shut up because I'm overdoing this, but the general idea of net neutrality, we can all agree, bits is bits. The internet should be a level playing field. I, of all people, should agree that, because if suddenly Netflix and every technology streaming service is favored over Twit, I lose. So, and if Twit is favored over the next guy coming down the line, he loses. So if you want innovation, you need a free and open internet. We all agree on that. Where reasonable people can disagree is how much the government should get involved in that. Because as soon as you turn on Title II, a government can then start to do things that we definitely don't want it to do. So I agree we need to take a weed whacker to FCC regulations. We wouldn't be in this position. We would have true competition if the FCC hadn't created duopolies.
Okay, so the FCC didn't.
Quote, he's saying there's no problem. That's the part of that quote that I think is important, where he says,
he said, show me where there's been damage done.
Right. He's saying there is no problem. So whether it's Title II or anything else, he doesn't believe there's a problem that needs solving.
And that was an issue all the way back in 2008. That's been a talking point for people who are against net neutrality for a while, which is there's no problem. Show it to me, but you can't really prove it. But going back to your point, and I'll stop after this, Leo, but I do want to say that they chose Title II because they had no other option unless we were going to do a rewrite of the Telecommunications Act. And that wasn't going to happen. And they decided, like any government, they have to compromise, to go the route of Title II and then to forbear on a lot of these issues. I haven't seen them do price setting, so I'm not sure there. But what I will say is, going forward, I think the real question we should be asking, because I do think he's going to dismantle some of this, is how he's going to do it. And that's actually, I'm surprised that no one has focused on this yet, because the way that net neutrality was written and given the court case, I don't really know if he can just rip up the Title II aspects of it. I think what's going to happen is a more selective case by case, or a decision to not take on cases and complaints about things like zero rating and data caps, et cetera. So I don't actually think that net neutrality in Title II might be in as much danger as we're kind of all going, ah! So, okay.
Go ahead,
that was
Matt.
it.
Matt.
Yeah, no, I agree with Stacy.
Okay, that was fast.
And I don't think, and I think that Forbes article was deliberately trying to make Pi's views look less critical than they are. I think he's made it clear a number of times that he's not in favor of the fundamentals of net neutrality or Title II.
And don't we know that Trump is against net neutrality? He's been clear about that. And Ajit Pai said the only reason that the Democrats voted for net neutrality was because Obama made them.
My opinion is that Title II is the wrong approach to net neutrality. I understand that was the only approach available, but I think it was. I think the thing that we really have to understand is the FCC can only do what Congress specifically mandates it to do, and I think people don't understand the FCC is a kind of an unusual beast. It doesn't. It is really an enforcement arm for telecommunications policy as Congress specifies it. I think bending the Telecommunications Act of 1986 and Title II of it to say, well, and okay, we're going to use this, but we're not going to use that part of it. We're not going to use that part of it, is clearly not desirable. So it was all they had. I would much prefer to see Congress weigh in on this and say, this is what we want.
So, okay.
Be careful what you wish for.
There have actually been debates. Should we rewrite the Telecommunications Act in its 1996?
You don't even need to do that. You could actually, Congress could simply say, among the FCC's powers is the power to make sure that net neutrality is enforced. You don't need to rewrite the Telecommunications Act.
No, you can't, because, my God, remember net neutrality? We've got to argue, what is net neutrality? What does discrimination mean? What does it constitute? Oh, my God. That's not going to happen. And have you ever met Congress and have them say, oh, yeah, we're just going to do a tiny little addendum to this one act?
I would point out that if our elected representatives don't wish to enact that, then the last thing we would want is for an overreaching federal regulatory agency to freelance.
I don't think
so. If we're in a climate where the Congress doesn't vote for this, we can yell and scream all we want, but they've spoken. I don't want to see any agency. It's a double-edged sword. The minute you start saying, well, they should freelance or they should take this ability written into an act that wasn't intended for that use, for this use, you are really opening the door to some very nasty stuff. And I think at this time it'd probably be a bad idea to do that.
I think we're already there. I think the FCC did what it could, and I do think the president picked Tom Wheeler based on how he knew that he would perform.
And if you mean Obama, President Obama picked Ajit Pai.
Okay. President Obama chose Tom Wheeler to be the chair of the FCC, and by the understanding
way, what we don't know is, because remember how we felt about Tom Wheeler.
I know.
Right up to the moment
I know.
when he changed his mind. So I would submit that we should maybe be a little slow to condemn Ajit Pai until he actually has a much better history of public service than Tom Wheeler ever had. He only worked for Verizon briefly in his earliest years for 2 years as an early lawyer. I think Ajit Pai's point is well taken, which is the best way to solve this is not with government regulation, but with true competition. And he has some really good points. One of the things he wants to do, he says, whenever we go up in the utility lines, we want to make it a requirement that the utilities put in conduit up there for internet access. I think he believes that the best thing to do is to open up competition. And I think that I think everybody agrees that's the best way to do this.
Everybody
if we can
agrees.
truly get there.
Well,
yeah.
Right.
So do you think we could? Here's a guy who says that's where he wants to go.
So Wheeler has actually talked about putting, giving people right away on power lines and placing conduit. That is not a new idea. The challenge there is we can't ignore the fact that the market has been tampered with. I don't know how to say it. It's not tampered, but the market has evolved in an unjust way or an oligopolic.
We do not have free choice. There is no free market internet access in the United States.
And so absent competition, that is what the FCC has been trying to address. To
protect.
What if instead of regulating, Ajit Pai and the FCC moved to create competition?
We have tried that and tried that. That's how we got here in the first place.
How have we tried that?
The effort to create facilities-based competition is what led us all the way back in 1996 to cable companies and DSL providers being our only options in most places. That was a decision by the U.S. government not to put fiber and to say, hey, these two guys, they'll be totally fine competing against each other, and all our policies should go that way. It was
the FCC that said to phone companies, you have to open your physical plants to multiple internet service providers, and said at the same time to cable companies, you do not. It would be a simple enough, in fact, I think a much more effective way to create net neutrality for them to go to cable companies and say, all right, time to open your physical plants to competition. Then you'd have two fat pipes into your house and many different internet service providers to choose from. I would prefer that to.
Isn't that interfering with the market?
No, that's promoting a free market.
They invested. They've
already
pipes.
invested this. Yeah.
Well, but do you think what if he did that? Would you then say, okay, you're right, we shouldn't have Title II was a bad idea. Let's have competition.
It's hard to see how you do that when he opposes regulation and opposes government telling him what to do.
We're guessing. I mean,
we are.
He says he's committed to a free and open internet.
The BT model would be beneficial. here's the pipe, and same as my power line now.
I'm
I
just
can
pointing
buy
out
power from anybody.
that a lot of people who are staunch defenders of the internet were very nervous about any government regulation at all. There was a massive debate within the board of the EFF about whether Title II should be invoked. That was not a clear decision. John Perry Barlow himself told me, we've had big fights over this. We do not like calling on the federal government to regulate the internet in any form. And I would submit we should have learned our lesson, because many of the things that we were happy when Obama said, oh, let's extend the power of the executive. We were happy when it was Obama, and now we're going, oh, maybe that wasn't such a good idea.
I agree with Stacy.
Okay.
This is being done in lieu of competition.
But you know what?
But we don't know.
We will see, and that is the beauty of it. I will keep watching this.
I think look, let me put it this way. There's plenty of things that are actually happening that you can complain about. And
True.
when these things actually happen, I think the internet will stand up, just as we have in the past with the internet blackouts and other things which we participated in. And we will send a very clear message, just as, on Saturday, 1.5 million women and men supporting them did.
More than 1.5 million.
Yeah.
3 million.
In Washington, it was what, how many? 3 million?
Not that we want to complain about numbers here.
That's right.
Well, that's kind of my point, is that we got to be careful about what battles we choose to fight.
But
Let's fight
actual
battles.
You're right, but we're not going to be
what do we do about
choice.
something
Think
like
of the
zero
battles keep
rating?
coming.
How do you fight?
Zero rating is a tough one. I hate zero rating. It is anti-net neutrality. Good luck in explaining that to a normal person.
So you're going to have a march about zero rating?
Right.
Not going to happen.
Not
no
going to
one will
happen.
come.
So write your member of Congress.
Pi was very, when it came to things like zero rating, when we were talking, his opinions on the original net neutrality for wireless plans, if you go back and read them, and I should have them right here, I could find. He was not a fan. He and O'Reilly were some of the reasons that got dropped. That wasn't going to fly in the FCC. So, if you're really worried about those things, you may want to keep an eye on Pi. He's probably just not going to litigate it. That's my guess. Not litigate, file complaints in censure companies. So anyway,
so they get to do whatever they want.
Well, I think the first thing he'll do, but we don't know, this is, again, speculation, is retract whatever order it was that said we're going to use Title II.
He can't retract that. That's been in the Federal Register.
It's done?
It's published in the Federal Register.
The
It's
FCC
been
couldn't
sued
reverse
on.
it?
They would have to
They'd have to
file
do
a
request
notice
for
of
comment and all
proposed.
that.
Yeah. A notice of proposed rulemaking. Blah blah blah.
So we'll have
That
plenty
is my
of warning when this stuff happens. And then meanwhile, there's a lot of stuff. I don't think he seems. I guess what I'm saying is he's not on the fringe. He is well within the universe of responses that even strong defenders of the internet.
Yes, he is, and he's technically savvy. This is not like Rick
and
Perry.
He's not
this
ignorant.
Dude knows what he's doing.
He comes from this business.
No, you're right. He does have a good track record.
I think he's one of the Trump nominees that really has some experience in this matter.
He is very smart. He's very erudite when it comes to things like spectrum. In many ways, this is a true just policy disagreement as opposed to a what is happening in this world kind of commentary. So in many ways, it's kind of refreshing.
His opinion was that the FCC didn't even have that authority, that using Title II was really not quite legal.
Right.
So, and I don't disagree with that point of view. I think that was a risky thing to do, although I supported it at the time. It did seem like the only reasonable way to get net neutrality enforced.
So then the question is, if he's in favor of competition, how's he going to encourage that?
That's right. That's right. And that's what I think we should do, is encourage that, because that would be the best solution, would it not?
Yeah.
Right. Totally. But he's not going to be the guy who let me put it this way. He is likely not going to be the guy who complains that AT&T is using its DirecTV, it's not counting DirecTV data against their customers.
We thought Tom Wheeler wouldn't be the guy either. So let's wait.
Well, Leo, the other thing that's happened is that in this period, Verizon stopped building, Google stopped building, where's the competition? Where's the investment going to come from?
Right.
Well, he would argue the
Facebook.
reason they stopped building is because they were told that they couldn't compete. But with the FCC was going to regulate them, they said that's exactly what AT&T said. They said, "Well,
Stacy was going to say a bad word.
if you're well, but that was AT&T's justification, whether you believe it or not.
Right.
Is
AT&T.
Well, come on.
Google didn't make that.
okay. So really, so let me just explain then. What's really coming down to is your attitude towards how corporate America thinks about this kind of stuff, as opposed to any factual situation, because he hasn't done anything.
So
You're
I
just
can say,
expecting the worst.
He has voted
that's
for a lot of things and voted against a lot of things.
I'm not just expecting it. I am basing it on a history of reading his opinions, a 4-year history of reading his opinions. Right. That's not nothing, Leo. You're like, but you're right. He hasn't done anything, and, we'll see. I will say on the positive side, he is aware of the need for spectrum in the millimeter wave bands. He's actually trying to advocate for more, or he had been in his previous opinions. So for things like 5G gigabit wireless services, we could actually see some more movement there from FCC chaired by Pi.
It's complicated. I'll give you an example that on the surface you would say, oh, he's on the wrong side of this story. The FCC vote that prohibited or said internet service providers have to get permission from you to share your data. And he voted against that. He said, no, they shouldn't. However, his argument was that these new rules did not, in fact, stop companies from harvesting and monetizing your data. And he wanted stronger rules. So if you look at the top line, you'll say, oh, yeah, he voted against your privacy. But I think it's more nuanced than that. And
everything's more nuanced than a news story.
Right. So
exactly.
So I think we're in a nuanced situation. I think this would be a good time to write your member of Congress and say, let's please give the SEC tools they need to promote competition among internet service providers. And I think that's something everybody can get behind. Republicans are all about free market, right?
My question remains, though, where's that investment going to come from?
Yes, I could say that everyone I talk to will say competition is good.
Well,
the question is how you get there.
My friend Dane Jasper, who's running Sonic.net, who has lots of ideas for how he can compete and is competing successfully in some markets against Comcast and your phone company. And he's putting in fiber in a lot of markets. One of the things Dane really wants is the right to, when they go up and put those utility lines up, the right to access the utility lines. You know who supports that strongest? More than
AT&T
and Ajit Pai. Yeah. This is one of his points in his plan for the future. Is this should be a legal requirement that utilities allow access to competing internet service providers to those lines.
And that's a great idea.
So Dane's challenge there isn't actually the federal government; it's the city government.
That's why he wants a federal law, which Ajit Pai supports.
Which is really against Republican values if we think about it.
I don't know what Republican values are.
What the hell are Republican values now?
I don't know. And I'll be honest with you. I think
federal versus state control.
It's not a Republican administration. It's a very different kind of almost a populist administration, and I'm not sure what the rules are. That's why I think all we can do at this point is wait and see and prepare your ink and paper and get ready to write lots of letters but I think it's a good thing to say what we would like. And what I think I would say people who favor a free and open internet would not like is more government regulation. What we would prefer is more competition. Is that wrong?
It's not wrong, but when we call or when we write our letters, we can't just say, I like competition. You have to give them a path forward to that, because there are multiple paths forward.
Right. Well, one would be a federal law requiring that access to polls.
And that's going to come up again in the courts, because a lot of those are owned by utilities, or there's also the local regulations. But let's move on to I
don't disagree that there'll be a fight, but anything you want to do is going to be a fight.
Well, true.
I mean, that's how it works. And really, I would really point out that Congress is who tells the FCC what to do. It doesn't really matter what Ajit Pai wants. Ultimately, he has to do what Congress tells it to do. And that was where that's why the court threw it back, because they said, you don't have a mandate. You need a congressional mandate to do this. The closest thing you've got is Title II. Take a break. We'll come back. There's lots more to talk about, including some new IoT connections. New friends, as you say, for Google Home. 5 X Prize finalists. And Google Voice is back, baby. Our show. Wow. I got to cool off here. You know what? All I'm trying to do is say, instead of just doing the knee jerk, which I do too, and say, "Oh, this guy's terrible," what is the way forward that we want as advocates of a free and open internet? We can all agree on this. What is the way forward? What is the right way forward?
And that's fair.
And I think
that's fair.
I don't think screaming at the choice of Ajit Pai to run the FCC, which is done, is the way to do it. And now we need to kind of encourage something that every Republican can support: free and open competition. That seems fair. Matt, you're the peacemaker.
I totally agree, Leo. We should not throw Ajit Pai under the bus.
Yeah, not yet.
Until
We
he
threw
gives
Tom.
us
I feel bad
a
because
reason to do
we called Tom Wheeler a dingo.
We did. We did.
And incidentally, what does the CRTC in Canada do about net neutrality?
Oh.
Yeah, there really isn't any such thing.
Yeah.
Those discussions haven't even really reached the point where, to be frank, where they are in the U.S., there isn't even really much of a debate, which is unfortunate.
It's my sense Rogers does anti-competitive things like throttle Skype because they want you to use their VoIP solution.
And many of those battles were lost years ago.
Yeah.
There's just been so much consolidation. It's effectively a market duopoly in most cases. So, there's just no real incentive for anyone to take that issue by the horns and try and fix it.
I feel like at some point we're just going to have to pick our battles and say the most important thing is this.
But Jesus, when your feet are on fire and your hair is on fire, how do you decide which is the most important?
Right.
Well, then you pick the thing that you think you can build the strongest this is called politics. The thing you can build the strongest coalition around of self-interest, because that's how people ultimately act, that will in the long run further your goals to keep the internet free and open.
That's true, but I think if you look at Canada, for example, if you lose or you give up, this little battle, and then you give up the next little battle because you're waiting for the big one, eventually you've given up so much that you've effectively lost.
Well,
you can't.
It's going to be
the
next 4 years at least are going to be like the Civil War. I think it's the closest analogy.
Yeah.
And I just don't want Richmond to get burned to the ground. Or something. I don't know. Our show today brought to you by Rocket Mortgage from Quicken Loans. Geeks, this is your chance to use the internet for something good for yourself. Getting a home loan or a refi without all the paperwork, all the details, in a way that is kind of what the internet promises, was friction-free and filled with choice. The big decision of choosing a mortgage lender really comes down to a few things. First, you start with trust. Rocket Mortgage comes to you from Quicken Loans, the number 2 lender in the country, the best lender in the country. Also, many, many J.D. Power Awards for customer satisfaction. I just talked to a friend of mine, Sam, I don't want to use his last name, who just used Rocket Mortgage. He said it was a stellar experience. That's because you could do it all online. You could submit pay stubs, check statements, all of the stuff that they need with a touch of a finger on your phone, on your tablet, on your computer. They have sliders that let you adjust the length of your loan, the rate in real time to see, you can fiddle with it till you get it just the way you want it. And approval comes through in minutes, not weeks or months. It was months the last time I got a home loan. So whether you're looking to buy a home or refi, you've got to lift the burden of getting a home loan with Rocket Mortgage. Get it? Rocket, lift off, Rocket. Skip the bank, skip the waiting, go completely online. QuickenLoans.com/twig, QuickenLoans.com/twig. Equal housing lender licensed in all 50 states, NMLS, consumeraccess.org, number 3030. We thank Rocket Mortgage by Quicken Loans for supporting This Week in Google. QuickenLoans.com/twig. Hello? Hello? Washington calling.
Sorry about that.
No, that's all right. All right, Stacy, you picked that one actually.
Yeah,
You said
so someone else should pick.
I don't see Ajit Pai in the rundown. Well, he's in the rundown now.
Darn
Hey, he
tootin'.
lucky.
Hey, congratulations to Amazon getting the first Oscar nomination for a streaming service.
Yeah.
Manchester
Oh, yeah.
by the Sea, the
Manchester by
most
the Sea.
depressing movie you'll see all year.
Have
Actually,
you
it's-
seen it?
yeah, it's tied with Moonlight for
seen
the
it.
most depressing movie of all time.
My wife liked it, but I can't bear to see it.
I loved it, and I highly recommend seeing it. But there's two things about it. It is a little grim, and yet the acting is stellar. The writing is stellar. The direction is stellar. And then there's a weird thing that I don't like, but I can't tell you. Well, I guess I could say this. I don't like how it ends. I can say
My
this.
wife gave me that hint.
Okay,
Yeah.
put your fingers in your ears. If it doesn't.
No, wait,
end.
I haven't seen it.
It doesn't end. It doesn't. So it doesn't have an ending. It's more slice of life.
Oh, it's kind of like, I shouldn't say it because people possibly didn't see the other movie that people are excited about.
Fences.
It doesn't end.
There's some great. Actually, the Oscar nominations are. There's some great movies.
I don't like La La Land. I'm just going to say it.
Heartless.
I feel
cold
terrible. The
and
most
heartless.
tied for the most
I'm
Oscar
trying-
nominations of all time. I didn't like it either.
I
try
thought if you were
really
going to
hard
make the
not to see it.
musical, people should know how to sing.
They should know how to sing.
I just
Ryan
do not
Gosling.
support that.
City
were
of
terrible.
stars, are you shining just for me?
And they wrote everything right out of the Emma. What's her name? The female star.
Emma
her
Stone,
Emma Stone.
Emma Stone.
who is a great actress. She's so good in that.
Yes,
She is.
she
great,
is. But she's still. They wrote
She can't
everything
sing.
just out of her range.
And they can't.
Well, not
and they
only
can't
that,
dance.
I was fine with the
She's
dance.
so
I
cute.
don't-
And
She is cute.
for a musical, it doesn't have any catchy numbers. Can you?
No catchy numbers.
So
And it was kind of boring. Like,
But we know
I'm sorry.
why it got so many awards, right?
because it's a
about
musical.
Hollywood.
Why?
No, it's about Hollywood.
Oh, it's about Hollywood.
right. It's about Hollywood and it's about singing and dancing. Like obviously, it's going to win every award
Yeah.
that is out there.
I mean, I love musicals. I would love to see a rebirth of the Hollywood musical, but this isn't it.
I can't
Ew.
stand musicals.
This is the antithesis. Well, maybe you'll
Boy,
like this.
you cold-hearted.
Have you seen it?
cynical. Yeah, I
My
like it.
daughters have
You're the
been trying to get me
reviewer.
to go to-
You're the only
I liked it.
professional reviewer in the bunch.
It touched me because you know why? Because rationally I could stand back and see all that. In the end, it touched me.
You know what? There is a wonderful moment in it, and if you haven't seen it, this isn't a spoiler, but when Gosling and Stone kiss, that incredible montage is amazing and lifts it up. Because up to that point, I was thinking,
I'm still mad because I got sucked into going to see Into the Woods. Nobody told me it was a musical.
oh, you don't like musicals.
If you remember the, if you
wow,
remember the
that's a
commercials,
great musical.
I know.
there was
Yeah.
no singing or dancing in any of the commercials. So I
You
got
know,
sucked
and it's
into
so
going
funny.
to
They
see it.
decided not to market it as a musical. And I was watching the ads and I'm saying, this is a Stephen Sondheim musical. There's no singing in the ad.
Exactly.
They
so
tricked you.
So I thought it
Now
was
we
just
know
a movie.
why.
They tricked me.
They
They
tricked
tricked
you.
me.
Isn't
I
that
should ask
funny?
Hollywood for my money back.
I saw that, and I actually noted that because I knew the show.
My kids were laughing hysterically, like halfway into the
got
movie.
Dad
I'm like,
into a musical.
is there singing and dancing through this whole
Dad to
thing? And
go
they're
to a
like, yes, Dad, it's a musical.
I've done that to my husband, so it's
Not only a
enjoyable.
musical;
It's not
it's
fair.
a very musical.
Yeah.
And actually, I didn't mind that one. Don't tell my.
You didn't mind
daughters
Into
that.
the Woods?
Yeah, I didn't mind it, even though I got tricked into seeing it.
Oh, Meryl Streep's great in it.
She was great, yeah.
Anyway, Manchester by the Sea. Now, I don't know if Amazon really deserves credit for this because it's my understanding they didn't produce it from the beginning. They
bought
just
it.
bought it at Sundance.
Yeah.
So
Well, they funded it, right? The same way they funded Transparent.
they didn't really fund
I think
it.
it's
They
interesting-
funded it. They
Well-
funded the distribution of it.
Right.
It was already
I
made.
still think it's interesting that them, like Amazon, I mean, they're willing to shell out some big dollars at Sundance.
I agree.
They did it last year and they're doing it this year.
Somebody was telling me that that's the new thing now. All the streaming companies, Netflix,
Yeah.
Amazon, go to Sundance now, trying to find the next big
Yeah.
hit.
And it paid
The
off.
next Moonlight.
Yeah, there was a bidding war, I think, for Manchester by the Sea.
Well, and it makes sense because they don't need to. I mean, these companies don't have the same agenda really as a Paramount and Lionsgate.
Right.
They don't have to have a blockbuster
Exactly.
because they can monetize it later in other ways.
And I think in particular, Amazon, they have, this massive, massive business that has nothing to do with movies.
Yeah.
All they need the movie for is to get you to sign up for Prime.
Yeah.
Well, so I was looking with the death of Mary Tyler Moore.
Oh,
Maybe
I
we
forgot.
have
Oh, yeah.
It's a horrible
Sad.
2017 is just as bad as 2016, folks.
Well, she was
But I was
80.
looking back.
I mean, people do die in their 80s.
They do.
know, but
If she
way
were
too soon.
40, I would say, oh,
Betty
that's
White is
tragic.
still alive, though.
Oh,
And Betty
it's
White,
awful.
95 years old.
Yeah, but what are we begrudging her?
No. I'm just saying. I know this sounds heartless, but they're
Move on out, Betty.
She had
as,
enough.
as you get to a certain
Ay,
age, it starts to become expected.
I was bored with
It's
her.
not like,
Hey.
oh my God, she died. How did that happen? She had diabetes. She was 80.
I was
We'll
actually
see how
going
you
to-
feel about it in 20 years.
I know. No, you're right.
Yeah.
You're absolutely right.
She was so young.
She was
She'll
so
be
young.
So I was actually going somewhere with this, which was I had to review HBO in its early days when the only thing they made was excuses to have women raise their tops because, hey, it's cable, we can do that.
God, yeah.
And I forget the name of it,
They
but I looked
still
back
do
to
that,
my old
right?
reviews. They still do that. So my old reviews, and there was a Mary Tyler Moore movie that, to my mind, was the first good cable movie, pay cable movie.
Wait a minute. Don't tell us. Don't tell us.
I forget the name of it now. Now I got to look it
Mary
up.
Tyler Moore cable movie wasn't The
hold
Burning
on.
Bed. That was Farrah Fawcett.
No.
Was she? Did she play a career gal? A plucky little career gal?
Oh hell,
Say
I
it.
lost it.
Her son died in it. Oh yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
wasn't it? And her son was. Oh, that.
Oh hell.
Chat room. Move on,
Come on,
Betty.
chat room.
Is that?
Oh shoot! I can't find it.
Oh, that move on, Betty is to Betty White. No, don't move on. That's terrible. Not Ordinary People.
No. It
Was
was
it
the
cable? Cable. Well, I bet
Finnegan,
you-
Begin Again. Was that it?
Yeah, Begin Again.
Yes. Finnegan, Begin Again. HBO in 1985. Hallelujah! I wrote. Pay cable has at long last made a movie to love. In its effort to make adult movies, cable too often has equated mature taste with unsettled sex and violence. Finnegan has no flesh or blood. Instead, it boasts only a good taste and talent in a warm, funny, romantic tale. Mary Tyler Moore, Sam Waterston.
Is that how you found it? You went through your old clippings?
No, I searched Google.
Yeah.
That would be
Look at
sad.
that.
You'd have to get out the manila folders for that.
Look, it says,
Yeah.
a real winner, heartwarming and funny, Jeff Jarvis.
Oh, no, you're kidding.
No, I'm kidding. I'm joking.
Oh, all right.
No.
Usually what they did was an amazingly awful movie. Amazing, Jeff Jarvis.
Right.
That must gall reviewers when they do that.
So I when we were starting Entertainment Weekly, I was still a TV critic at People,
Yeah.
and I complained in my column in People how an NBC pinhead
Yeah.
had done that to her. And the publisher of the magazine went out to have one of the first meetings with NBC, and he met with the guy, and the guy said, "Tell Jarvis, I'm the pinhead."
Vine is dead. Long live Vine. There's an archive now online of Vine videos containing all the posts from 2013 to 2017. That's a good way. I think there's a creator spotlight section. Vines grouped by genre. That's one way to save. I can't think of another case of that happening, of a app or a service dying and being preserved in this way. This is nice.
Well, the weird thing is, you can still use Vine in a way. You can still. It's called Vine Camera now,
Yeah.
and you stream it straight through Twitter.
But it doesn't
So
it doesn't go up on the Vine.
Right.
Yeah.
It doesn't exist as a separate.
In a
entity.
way, this is a great time capsule, isn't it?
Yeah.
It is.
The
There's
way
some
we
great
The
lines
internet-
in there.
The Internet Archive.
Remember the internet in 2013?
You can see the Shiba Inu dancing because he's so happy.
Here's-
all those great vines.
Here's President Obama with a message for
Well,
the
yeah.
Bat Kid.
And
What?
the Mask Lady, right?
Was that
that a
Vine?
Vine? That was Vine.
Bat Dad is the best. You just scroll past
Bat
him.
Dad. I love Bat Dad.
He's fantastic. Jen.
See, Vine was a good thing
It was great.
because you only had
think it's
6
one of-
seconds. You had to really.
Oh,
One of the
no,
best
it
things
wasn't
Twitter's
fine.
ever
Take it
done.
back. It wasn't fine.
Who doesn't think that's funny? That's
Actually, believe it or not, my teenage daughter became obsessed with these Vine artists who were doing
Oh, yeah.
basically comedy bits. She knew all their names.
Oh, yeah.
That's all she watched.
They were celebrities.
Yeah, it was a real moment. It only lasted for a month or two, but
Yeah.
It was a
And
real moment.
I really think they did not take advantage of it properly, which, like, who would have guessed that Twitter would have a great idea, but not sort of execute it properly.
Yeah, who'd think?
But I think they
Did they build it or did they buy it?
they bought it.
They bought
but
it. Yeah.
Okay.
yeah.
It had
It's like
such
how
potential.
Yahoo and AOL ruined everything they bought.
There you go.
Okay. A lot of these
That's a
were
pissed off
super
supermarket manager.
stupid.
But some of them are really funny.
Wait, this is Juan in Taken.
Well, back to the internet.
Oh, Lord. He rickrolled
Me and Eric
us.
are about to go vandalize some stuff. Hi, sure about this? Yeah, man, just go, hurry.
So they go up and write on a 4x4 equals 60. That's science nerds. That's Vine right there. Vine is still alive. Vine, VINE.co for the archive of all of the Vine stuff. And then the highlights are the big Vine.
I think, unfortunately,
superstars.
a bunch of those stars wanted Twitter to help them
Right.
and wanted Twitter to
They
pay
wanted $1
them.
million bucks each.
Yeah.
Well, they
some
wanted
did,
YouTube
but-
bucks for making vines.
Yeah.
Right. And so, unfortunately, a lot of them fled for YouTube and Vimeo, and there wasn't much
Some
left.
of some of them should not have like gone beyond the 60 seconds. That's the other
Agree.
thing. Like people didn't appreciate like
Can I just
The
say,
value of-
I hope that when Twitter goes belly up in the next year or so, it will also do the same. And
Yeah.
Well, I think they're selling it off piece by piece. So
they
they sold Fabric to Google.
Right, Fabric, which is their mobile development platform.
Yeah. Which, if you remember, was going to be sort of that was the future growth plan, was that it was going to basically integrate with all these mobile apps, and it was going to build a platform that Twitter would be at the center of, and so on, which is a great idea, except now it'll be Google instead of Twitter.
Google I.O., in an unprecedented break with tradition, Google has announced Google I.O. will be May 17th, 18th, and 19th, once again at the Shoreline Amphitheater. Did you go, Jeff?
Yes, I did.
So,
I did. And
was
the
that a
venue
good
kind
venue?
of worked.
It
Yeah,
worked.
it was. It did work. Yeah, and it had more room, and yeah, I liked it. I hope to go again.
Yeah.
it was the one where everyone was complaining about being sunburned and hot
Yeah.
because it was outside. Okay.
Yeah.
They should do this at night
geeks.
this time.
Geeks. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I mean that they got their vitamin D for probably more vitamin D than they get in a year.
Yeah.
So they've actually
So what do we
created.
think they're going to do this year?
Oh, that's an interesting thing. Real quickly,
Oh,
this
man.
is the site Google created, SaveTheDate.foo, that invited developers to solve these puzzles to come up with the date. And thank goodness VentureBeat did it, so I didn't have to. 5 puzzles.
And F8 is April 18, 19. So it's 1 month.
Facebook's is what they. Yeah. So what is Google going to do? That's a good question.
They're coming out with 5 more chat apps, I think.
We don't have enough messaging apps, so.
Well, now that Allo has taken over the world,
Just make Allo an SMS app, and I will use it for crying. Now, somebody said, and I thought this was an interesting insight because otherwise it's inexplicable, that it's they're worried about antitrust.
Yeah, you said that I think last show.
I
And
mentioned
so-
it, yeah.
and
That's the
so-
only way to explain how Google's fragmented messaging strategy makes any sense at all.
I don't think that makes any sense. I'm sorry.
And it really
Like,
doesn't make
so
any
Nice
sense.
try,
maybe you're
Leo.
afraid of antitrust, so you shoot yourself in the foot or cut off one of your limbs, or it just makes no sense. I don't understand it. It's frustrating as heck, though. Like, try and explain that to a normal person if you want them to use one of those apps. But I thought I was using Hangouts. Oh yeah, forget about that. You have to use this other thing now. But I mean, there's no rhyme or reason to it.
Well, that's why it's interesting that Google is now adding features to Voice and Google Hangouts. Two products we thought were gone.
Right.
So voice is interesting, and there's some speculation that by adding, they added MMS. After all this time, you can now do MMS and groups. You can do group messaging.
Yes.
After all this time, it's still not supporting SMS exactly. I don't know. But the thinking is maybe this is the beginning of kind of the transition for Hangouts completely to be an enterprise solution, and then Google Voice be the messaging platform. That doesn't make any sense. I don't understand.
All I get through Hangouts is spam.
How about Google I/O? Will they announce more Google Home stuff? Probably, right? Assistant,
probably.
And maybe they'll bring. So they keep talking about bringing things like the ability to control some of the things that you can do via Google Home, like your smart home stuff, via Assistant. So maybe they'll announce that. That'd be cool.
Hey Google, did you fart? I put up a list of all the things you can ask Google.
And what did she say? We didn't hear it. What did she?
Oh, hey Google,
Turn it up.
Did you fart?
You can blame me if you want. I don't mind.
You can blame
First she
me
said
if
I
you
don't
want,
smell
mind.
anything, and then she said I don't. How do I turn it up?
That is for the young people in the Google Home.
So I put the entire list of things you can
And
ask Google Home up. It was the last one they listed.
Please don't tell my 14-year-old about that. Actually, it'd be more your daughter, Stacy.
I was going to say mine would be.
She's more in the age
loving
group.
that.
Yeah, I think the 14-year-olds by now are like, yeah, I'm over farts.
Actually, I think my 18-year-old would think it was pretty funny. I showed her did you see the chat where the Google Home and the Echo were having a discussion together?
Boy, that was
See that?
mind-numbingly boring.
That was hysterical. Parts of it were hilarious.
But it was just weird.
Yeah, that was the best part.
Yeah.
Hey Google, turn the volume up.
You can do
Louder.
it with your finger.
You just do it, yeah.
I can't where? Where do I do it?
Just on the
On the
top.
top,
Okay.
you
All
On the
right.
top.
see that little circle of lights and just
I
move
got
it
it.
up.
I got it.
Okay.
Hey
We're just
Google,
gonna. Both
always
of us
be
are just gonna
closing.
be doing this.
I'm turning it up. Stacy's turning it down. Man.
No, I'm turning it up.
You're going counterclockwise. That's down.
No, I'm going counterclockwise when I'm not in a screen.
Are you in
See?
reverse?
Am I? Let's see.
Do it
I'm going
clockwise.
clockwise.
You're going
This
clockwise.
is clockwise.
Okay.
Yes.
So you are reversed.
I'm reverse. I'm in the reverse world, Leo.
Well, what does it look like I'm doing?
Zorro.
You're doing.
You're
I'm also-
counterclockwise.
Yeah, so it's because I'm doing it clockwise as well.
So
It's because we're not
Let's
in a
review.
mirror. If we were in a mirror, it would be, which is reversed. I don't want to.
Let's
No.
review how television works.
My head hurts. No.
Hey Google,
Math is hard.
I
we
am
can
your
debate
father.
still too, but
I'm sorry. I'm not Luke. Kind of awkward.
What?
Hey Google, I am your father.
I'm sorry. I'm not Luke. This is kind of awkward.
Nice.
Oh, God.
oh, the Echo does that too. When you say that, I think she goes, "No."
Well, that's funny. That's
That's
actually,
better.
that's funnier.
Hey Google, set phasers to kill.
My phasers are permanently set to peace mode, Captain.
Dorky, very
That's
dorky.
geek jokes, right?
That's like
Yeah, well,
Google.
not
So
very good.
I will tell you from a practical standpoint, slightly more practical than the fart jokes, compared to because I've been testing my Google Home and Echo with the new Wemo stuff. I've been doing a lot of like, hey, so and so, turn this light on, and I noticed with the Echo you have to say turn on living room lamp. With the Home, Google Home, you actually can say turn living room lamp on living room lamp, is the living room lamp on, and all of that works.
Yeah, that's
and it's
much
very
better.
nice,
Yeah.
much less rigid.
Well, that's AI. That's machine learning, right?
Yeah.
It's a little more sophisticated.
And is it Google Home or Echo where you can say computer now?
That's Echo.
I forgot.
Echo has
Oh, okay.
computer now.
That's the Amazon Echo.
Yeah.
Computer.
And that's totally for Star Trek fans, right? There's no
Yeah.
practical reason you should say computer.
Except
Well, if
you
you're
are talking to a computer.
True.
You are, yeah. And if your kid's name was anything related to the Echo's main
Like
I
name,
interviewed on Monday a good friend
Sorry, I
named
said it.
Alex. And I noticed that he used Amazon as a keyword for his Echo. And he said, well, yeah, when you're named Alex, you can't use the other one.
right?
Because people all the time coming over to me saying, hey, Alex.
Yeah,
and he
that's
goes,
right.
I'm sorry, what did you want? All right. Will they talk about Google Wi-Fi? What is the status is Wi-Fi going the way of the On Hub? Google Wi-Fi. You know, that's the mesh
what does that
solution.
question mean?
Well, On Hub kind of fizzled, right? I don't see a lot.
Okay, so here's an important thing to say to people. If you have a Google On Hub, it works with Google's Wi-Fi. So those two things work together as a mesh network.
So I only have to spend a few $100s more to make it more useful.
A lot of people feel like they're like, well, now this sucks. I've got the On Hub and it's no longer useful.
It could be one of your Wi-Fi.
Yes.
Do they sell Google Wi-Fi in anything less than a 3-pack?
One.
I think you can buy a one.
So you could have two.
Yeah, you can.
If you have On Hub, you could add two. Okay.
And I think someone did a teardown of the On Hub and there's Zigbee inside, a Zigbee radio, which makes sense.
We knew that all along, that the 802.11 or .14, whatever.
Is it in the I think it's in the Wi-Fi too, that it's in there.
Yeah.
The Zigbee chips, the 804. And that makes sense because Thread is based on the same radio.
So I think if we look at the New York Times story about AI and translate, and you hear,
hold on a second, I'm going to mention that, but let me just a quick note: if you do use your On Hub with Google Wi-Fi, you should not trust the usage statistics because apparently there's an arithmetic bug.
Math is so hard,
especially for computers.
Yeah. So looks like that our conference has uploaded 74 gigabytes. The Dropcam 1.25 terabytes. Anyway, it's a known issue and they're working on a fix, and I'm sure that's just a firmware fix.
Ooh, do you want to speak about Dropcam? Some news there.
Well, Jeff's
going somewhere else.
Sorry, Jeff. I'm going to have to be the judge and jury here and say Jeff,
I was just
and
saying
then Wi-Fi.
For I/O, it's got to be a lot of AI stuff.
Yes.
That's all.
Yes.
That's all.
Yes. I want to see Google Assistant in more places.
I hope so.
More capabilities, the same capabilities, or
they got to pour it on. I think
pour it on is right.
Yeah, I mean, Amazon's
look at Echoes in cars everywhere. It's all over the place. I think they need to talk more about the API. They need to have more libraries. They need to do something to encourage more developers to create.
They also need to work on their data sharing policies and work there, because one of the challenges is a lot of companies are like, I don't want to work with Google because they're going to take my data.
Right.
Yeah.
And Amazon's like, if I take your data, it's only because I want to sell people more stuff. I'm not going to go build cars or anything and get into your business.
Not getting in your business, but see, they don't know.
Not right now.
Waymo.
They don't know
not
that.
Right away.
Now Amazon's distributing movies.
Right. They can't be sure. They have some things that they mentioned at a previous Google I/Os. They're finally incorporating. We're starting to see the first betas of what is that thing where it loads part of the app if you don't have the app.
Yeah.
In Android.
Instant apps.
Instant apps.
Android instant apps.
That's starting to show up now for a handful of.
I was excited about that.
I was excited about when they showed it at I/O last year.
Yeah, and then I was like, nothing.
Nothing.
but
Instant
the potential
tethering
for that is pretty amazing. Actually.
Yes, because the idea
you don't have
is
to have the app.
For those of you who don't remember, you don't have to have the app. You can ask for Assistant to do something, and if it doesn't have, let's say, Open Table installed, it can load a stub, a little mini version of Open Table, and still execute.
And PWA has disappeared. The Washington Post had a PWA, progressive web app, and I think it's now sends to the regular Washington Post page.
Oh, that's too bad.
So I don't know what's going on with that.
Google, like a lot of companies nowadays, announces many things, but doesn't always deliver. And then sometimes it does, and then it decides not to continue. And you can't count on Google. How important? Here's a meta discussion. How important to a company is it that you can count on them, that when they announce a product, that they support it, they continue with it?
I think that's a habit in the tech space. I think it's actually a habit that's going to get them into more trouble as tech becomes more mainstream and integrated into more products.
Fail fast?
Yeah, but not even fail fast. Just the idea that, I'm going to, like, you see this with smart home stuff. We're going to do this, and this, and this, and someone buys it, and then it doesn't do those things. And they're like, what just happened?
Right. Apple doesn't do that. Apple never announces anything till it's done.
Really? We're going to say never? Are we sure?
I can't.
I don't know.
Example. I don't think there. Now there's lots of rumors.
HomeKit.
Yeah, HomeKit.
True.
Sorry. When you said never,
Stacy wins.
But I think it does become a problem when you pump something up, people devote time and resources to it, not just startups or developers, but actual users. And they get used to it because you told them that that's how things were going to work. And then you change it. And I mean, Google's messaging is a perfect example. People have all this, kind of emotional energy they've invested in your product. And then you either sunset it and say, sorry, move on, or you have to change to this completely other thing. I think the more times you do that, you're using up social capital in a way with users.
And normal people don't get what you mean when you say, oh, this is in beta. They don't understand that means this is a tenuous thing that may not.
No, exactly.
An interesting case in point. And I think this is going to be one of those things we're going to be writing New York Times like social style articles on. But did you see Elon Musk talk to someone this week and say something to the effect that someone was complaining about new features that were coming out in the next gen Model X? And he was like, look, we're going to keep improving these things in every 12 to 18 months, we're going to get a new iteration. And I actually thought that was both great for like very transparent of him and forward looking for him, but it's also a crappy news thing for his customers in a lot of ways. So, you're like, and this was something we thought when we bought the Tesla, we were like, I know in like 2 years, it's going to be awesome. And my car is going to suck, not suck, but it won't be as cool. And that's a really hard thing for a lot of people to swallow.
It does happen with cars though, that, if you get a model year, that the next model year might be much improved. You're kind of aware of that, right? But
not to the extent that, like I don't have autopilot on my car. And that's really, that's a big jump in service. And usually
you could buy it.
You're right, I could. And I might, because I killed the rear bumper of my car. So I got to get a whole new one with new sensors.
Whoops.
I'm halfway there.
Buy autopilot. And by the way, you saw that stat that did I mention this last week? No, I don't think I did. All that data that went to the NHTSA after the fatal accident with Tesla, the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration revealed that cars that didn't have autopilot, like yours, Stacy, that later upgraded, saw a reduction in accidents of 40%.
Wow.
Ooh.
That's great, because I've had 3 accidents in my Tesla after not having, seriously, you guys, after not having, I had 1 accident my entire driving career. So,
well, the good news, you only have 1.8 going forward.
Was it Tesla?
Lord.
Do you think? Was it the car?
No, it's the car is much bigger. There's a couple
Everybody
things.
knows you lose brain cells when you have children. It's just a natural.
Oh, I'm gonna. Why am I not in the studio so I could just?
Go ahead.
That's gonna be my new IoT device.
Just hit me right here. Just go.
Something to come up behind your chair and just go whack.
Just slug to your left. I'm right here.
Like,
yeah.
Hey Google, whack Leo.
We could put
Leo for me.
We could put a little arm with a boxing glove on here that you'd have a remote
and I could have a button. Boom.
Actually, I would foot the bill on that.
Okay,
that'd be pretty funny.
I'm like, we could get that done.
Can we get Stacy's punch Leo button?
Does Jeff get one too, or
no? I get a punch.
No. Stacy's going to have one in my house too.
Stacy has one for every other house.
2 guys. Yeah. You're Canadian, so you won't get it, but we will.
Oh.
I like.
I'm disappointed.
Okay.
This little
Drop cam news
thing here, Matthew.
You want to be hit? Matthew's the one with boxing gloves on his door. I don't know what that means, but.
Oh, yeah. If I had a servo, a spring, and one of your boxing gloves.
Bert, would you install a servo-controlled punching thing that would just come
apparatus?
Out of that? He could do that. I'm telling you, we're going to build you
with a boxing glove on it.
We're going to
just have a glove. All we need is a wireless control, and boom, we'll do it.
Totally.
So the Dropcam news is Dropcam's CEO, former CEO and founder, Dennis Duffy, David Duffy. One of them is like
Greg Duffy.
Greg Duffy.
Dennis Duffy was the star of Dallas, and I believe that he was just
that
a
was
dream.
Patrick Duffy.
Oh, okay.
No, it's the guy who called Liz Lemon in 30 Rock doofus all the time. That was the other Duffy.
Oh, oops. I can see why you got them confused.
Yeah. Greg Duffy, who is not the guy who calls Liz Lemon doofus.
Or dummy, I think. Hey, dummy. Okay. Greg Duffy, who is a champion.
Oh, the guy who sells beepers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Not that guy.
He is now at Apple. That is that was my news for you guys because we were talking about Apple.
He was a Dropcam co-founder, and he was also the guy who notoriously called Tony Fadell a tyrant bureaucrat.
So it's kind of fun that he's going to Apple, where Tony Fadell probably honed his tyrant bureaucrat ways.
What is he going to do at Apple?
Nobody knows.
Good question, Leo.
Because Apple doesn't make cameras.
Not yet.
Not yet.
Well, they do on their phones.
They used to make a camera. What was it? The I.
Well, that's right.
I see. iCam.
God, I can't believe I've forgotten it now. So that'll be interesting. Yeah. Huh. I think a lot of times, though, these people are just good engineers or maybe good managers of engineering teams, and they don't necessarily end up doing the same thing. He may not want to do a camera.
Well, so the other thing is, if he's not doing a camera, what he did do at Dropcam that's worth noting is he helped do the computer vision. So all of Dropcam's, not all. I don't know if it was people opting in or if it was because you can't anonymize camera data, but they took the camera data to do some computer vision and image recognition stuff. So he's managed people doing that. I don't think he's like an AI.
Yeah, he's yeah. In fact, this story was broken. We should give credit by Reed Albergati from The Information, Jessica Lesson's Information. And,
fabulous.
And they say brings an experienced consumer electronics entrepreneur into the company. So they don't really say particularly his camera expertise.
Could be interesting, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, he founded Dropcam because he wanted to find out what animal was pooping like in his dad's neighbor or his dad's yard.
Oh.
And he actually founded it based on he was like taking off the shelf kind of stuff to build a camera for him, and then that turned into Dropcam. So it's a very cool story.
He was not, according to correction from The Information, a manager, or rather an executive at Dropcam. He was a manager for camera engineering at Nest. So maybe he is more
an
engineering manager or a manager of teams like that. Anyway, very interesting.
Ta-da!
Thank you for that news.
You got it in there, Stacy. You had to bring us back. You had to reel us back, but you did it.
That's all right.
You did it.
I want to talk about Chromebooks. It's your favorite subject, Jeff, in just a little bit. But first, a word from Blue Apron. You're going to get to the end of the day today. You're working hard. You're tired. You're hungry. The whistle blows. The 5 o'clock whistle blows. And then you think, oh, I have to plan a meal, go shopping for the ingredients, and make it? No. So you go to Jack in the Box and have one of those tacos. It's like wet cat food in a shell. Or if you get Blue Apron, you go home and there's a box on your doorstep full of delicious ingredients and a meal you can make in 40 minutes. That's amazing. That will blow you away. That's a better way to go. Blue Apron's mission is to make incredible home cooking accessible to everyone, supporting a more sustainable food system, setting the highest standards for ingredients, and building a community of home chefs. Whether you get the Blue Apron for 2 or you get the Blue Apron for families, each box contains 3 separate, meals for 2 or for your family that have all the ingredients, no more, no less. So if you need 2 tablespoons of soy sauce, you get that. You don't end up having, extra stuff lying around. You might think, as I did, oh, this is going to cost more than if I just went to the store and got it. No. Grocery store is going to be 60% more expensive than Blue Apron. So you're saving money too. It is amazing. And the best food, there is no junk in there. Everything's fresh, not frozen, even the meats and the fish. It's a refrigerated box. They get their produce and their meats from over 150 local farms, fisheries, and ranchers across the United States. It is good stuff, and you're going to learn a great skill and build bonds. Because when you're cooking for your family, you're making love. It's an incredible feeling to do it. I know you want to do this more, and you can. According to Blue Apron research, families that use Blue Apron cook together 3 times more often. What's on the menu this week? Go to blueapron.com/twig. Spicy shrimp and Korean rice cakes with cabbage and furikake. Hoisin chicken steam buns. This is so good. And once you learn to make this, you're going to make it a lot. With broccoli and marinated carrots, cheesy chicken and black bean enchiladas with salsa verde. Oh, vegetarian? Sure, they've got vegetarian meals. You pick your meal. How about warm cauliflower and kale salad? Oh, that looks so good with soft-boiled eggs. Oh, man. Anyway, I'm going to get you 3 meals free. That's all you really need to know. Go to blueapron.com/twig. Blueapron.com/twig. Get your first 3 meals free. So I think it's interesting. I wonder if at Google I/O Google will announce a new Chromebook Pixel. I think not, because I think what they're doing instead, which makes a lot of sense, is partnering with existing companies to make kind of reference platforms. I'm very excited about Samsung's Chromebook Pro and Plus.
I am too. I think I'll get the Pro, but the Asus has a lot more battery.
And this new Asus, which they're saying is for education.
Well, there's another Asus.
Oh, there's another one.
Yeah, there's another one that they announced right at CES. Was it Asus or was it?
Maybe
Asus?
it was. There's an Acer and an Asus for education.
Right. Then they also have these educational ones just announced.
And all of these new ones, Google has said everything announced and shipped in 2017 will be Android store ready, Play Store ready. So you're going to, I'm telling you, I think this is maybe even the future of computing.
Yep.
All of them USB-C, no
and
more of those weird adapters. Yes.
Well, big news today, which was Adobe is bringing full power apps to the Chrome OS through Android.
That's huge. So this is Adobe's plan on iOS. They said Lightroom, we talked to Russell Brown, he said Lightroom for the tablet is going to be, at some point, our total intention is to make it a full-fledged equal to Lightroom on the desktop. And that is, for a photographer, a very natural workflow is to edit photos, just to touch them. I mean, it's just very natural. This is huge, I think. And it will. I'm
going to put that in the comments right now. There's the Adobe.
It'll be my platform of choice, I think.
Wow. Wow. Wow.
Well, I love Linux. I love the stability. I love how secure it is.
Yep, I do too. And there's no hassles.
These devices go all day.
Yep.
Yeah, so Photoshop
and then when I travel, if I can travel with a combination of Chrome and Android and a pen and be able to watch my movies in the plane and then we'll work on something to write, it's ideal.
So these are the Creative Cloud apps that will be optimized for Chrome OS. Photoshop Mix, Lightroom Mobile, Illustrator Draw, Photoshop Sketch, Adobe Comp CC. I'm not sure what that is. It sounds like a compositing program. Creative Cloud Mobile. And that's important for education too, because these, these Adobe would love to get you when you're in school using these programs so that you'll use them when you get out of school.
How limited is Photoshop Mix?
Pretty limited. It's really intended for the one thing which a lot of people do, which is to take a picture, like cut your head off and put Oprah's body on it, or vice versa. That kind of editing.
So internet memes, you mean?
Internet meme machine. But Lightroom Mobile is a much more complete. And as I said, I think Adobe's long-term goal is to really make Photoshop Mix be Photoshop and Lightroom Mobile be Lightroom.
Okay.
That would be very exciting. And it's one of the things that keeps you off of a Chromebook, by the way. Good video editing, good photo editing.
Yes, that's pretty much it. And Skype. But so I haven't tried calling into the show from... When I get the new machine, we'll try Skype through Android into the show.
Good.
I haven't done that.
I'd love to try that. Yeah.
We did it as a small little test that first week, but
the other thing that's interesting, this Acer Chromebook Spin, is that the one you're interested in? This is the education one.
No, it's a different one. It's the Asus, I think.
The stylus on this, which kind of looks like a Samsung stylus, it's a flat stylus that goes into the body of it, is Wacom, it's using the Wacom EMR standard. Which is what artists want. This is really, I have to say, this is compelling. And these things are a few $100.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Well, the Samsung will get you up to, I think, 600.
I spent almost $500 for this Chromebook Plus. That's the first one that'll be available early February. And I'll tell you what, since you're going for the Pro, which is not out yet and it's going to be out later.
Right.
The Pro is Intel, the Plus is ARM. That's the chief distinction. I'll have the Plus and I'll show you, and you can,
Yeah.
I'm excited. They say the Spin has military-grade durability, which is what you want for a school. It's mil-spec 810G. I don't know Well, yeah, I don't know. And it
I
incorporates.
have no idea what that means, but we want to say, wow.
Sounds
Ooh,
good.
a drainage system. That's
Yeah,
great
it
for when you
incorporates
spill your water
a
on the
unique
keyboard.
drainage system. What?
That's awesome.
Which can endure up to 330 milliliters of spilled water and channels liquid away from important components.
That would help at Starbucks for sure.
That would help at my desk.
Yeah.
My husband's like, "Are you drinking water at your desk again?" I'm like, "Oh."
So it prevents students from removing, swapping, or otherwise interfering with the keys. What are students doing to keys?
Okay, so when
They swallow them sometimes.
when the Obama transition happened in 2008. No, I'm sorry. When the Clinton transition happened in 2001, the Clinton staffers removed all the W keys from the keyboard so that George W. Bush, his staff would have a hard time typing. That was a mean prank.
I thought that was
You know
apocryphal.
what would be-
but
I don't
That's
think it's
awesome.
What would be even
apocryphal.
better? What would be even better is just to remap the keyboard, leave the keys where they are, but make them make different letters.
Right. I think that's
just put
also
in
hard
German
to do on
keyboards.
Chrome OS. I just more and more. I think Google has the right strategy with Chrome OS because once you add these apps from the Android store, and if these apps get more and more desktop-like, which is I think the trend, this is going to be a nice platform. I'm excited.
So, do you see Chrome and Android continuing, or do you see that one of them winning?
Well, that's a question we've asked again and again and again, right? I don't know. I think Android for phones makes a lot of sense. I think Chrome OS for tablets makes a lot of sense. I think that's fine. Do you need? I mean, they're both Linux based.
Yeah, I guess
think
one
that's-
doesn't have to win.
Yeah, and the Play Store is on both, which is the real virtue. This is what Microsoft's
Right.
desperately trying to do: is create this universal Windows platform, so that a developer will develop for all of Microsoft Windows, mobile, tablet, and desktop. And it's been rough going. Google's kind of they said, well, we don't have to. You just keep doing your Android apps. We'll make sure they run on Chrome.
Yeah, and having Android apps on a Chromebook would be super useful for sure.
A touch Chromebook.
Yeah.
Yep. Speaking of Android, Hugo Barra is out at Xiaomi. So remember Hugo Barra, the great Google executive. He was the king of demos, was always on stage at Google I/O. Then he went to Xiaomi, where he did much the same thing. And he says, I'm tired of living in China. I want to be back in the States with my family and friends. He doesn't say what he'll be doing when he comes back, but he says, quote, he'll be embarking on a new adventure back in Silicon Valley.
Oh, wait. Can we talk about this? Is Elon Musk really building a tunnel? Did you guys see his tweet?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because
Well, he
that
wants to.
happened.
He's already broken ground.
Yeah.
He needs a few approvals, doesn't he?
Well, I imagine so. So his plan is, this all came from a tweet where he was bemoaning LA traffic. And he said, I just want a tunnel underneath. And then the story today is that they've already broken ground in a tunnel. He's going to buy these tunnel boring machines. And he says, look, it's the same thing as flying cars. You go up or you go down.
But aren't there structural things that are
Yeah,
involved?
like,
with
Earthquake,
things?
safety.
No,
there
no,
is
no,
a
no, no. It's
water
Elon. You don't,
table.
no. You're worrying too
There's
much.
a fault line out there, right? Am I
I mean, if
wrong?
everyone independently builds their own tunnel, that feels like, yeah, okay, thank you. Because I saw his tweet, and amidst all the other unbelievable
So is it just
tweets out
going to
there.
be Elon's tunnel, or
Well, that's the question. How does this help traffic if you let everybody in the tunnel? It's worse. So obviously, the key is maybe it's a private toll tunnel.
so it's a
For
Tesla
his
tunnel.
employees?
It's-
A Tesla tunnel.
Well, he's building one under the the SpaceX
Yeah.
factory, right?
Yeah. He should just buy a helicopter. My God. That's what other rich executives who hate traffic do.
And in
It's a
fact, there's
boring
been
company.
progress in that regard. I mean, it was clear that flying cars were a bad idea if you let people drive them, but autonomous flying cars not such a bad idea. And people are already talking about doing that. Here's Elon's tweet from 1 a.m.
Yes.
Exciting progress on the tunnel front. Plan to start digging in a month or so. Oh, I thought he'd already broken ground.
Oh, he's trolling us.
Well, he
think?
did put tunnels as part of his
You never
Twitter
know.
bio.
You
He's
never know.
trolling us.
The problem is he splits his time between SpaceX and Tesla HQ, So the tunnel would have to go all the way up to Fremont? That's a lot.
He would have to buy mineral rights, all kinds of things.
I think didn't he say to LAX? Isn't that what the
yes,
story?
LAX was the one.
Airport.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so his desk to the airport, and he does travel a lot to his helicopter, perhaps.
Why not just get a helicopter? Like, isn't that what rich people used
I
to
just
do?
said that, yeah.
No, but he said, no, here's the advantage of a tunnel. You don't have to worry about the weather. It's always sunny underground. He says you don't have to worry about cave-ins. I don't know what he's got. But what he needs is a machine. Is like a thing that just does it. Like, you know, he could start
like a comic book villain. Oh, it was in The Incredibles.
$100 million now.
The Incredibles.
Only a few $100 million.
Hey, if Mark Zuckerberg can build a wall around his island.
Hey, Google Fiber actually has some incredible boring technology, and they're getting out of that business. So
The problem is
Synergies.
you'd have to get a really small car.
I just like how it's boring technology.
Oh, I love it. That's the name of the company, by the way. The boring company.
That's a joke, right? Well, I can't tell what's real anymore. Jesus.
When you live, neither can
thought
Elon. That's
Trump
his
was a
point.
joke
We're
too,
living in a simulation. So do what the hell you want because it doesn't matter.
Oh, Lord.
Okay. All right.
Sorry, I just wanted y'all's opinion.
No, I think that's real. I don't think he's making that up, but who knows? You're right. You can't tell.
Let's see.
I want to do a few more, and then we're going to take a break because I want to get you out of here in 15 minutes. Samsung says it's going to stick with the Note brand. It did release this week the study that said there were two problems, two different manufacturers. Problem one with the original Galaxy Note 7 was, as everybody suspected and was leaked, the batteries didn't fit the case properly, and that caused leaks and explosions. And then they rushed to get replacements out, and the replacement batteries had another leaking issue, and that's why. So two separate issues. They announced an 8-point plan to prevent this from happening, things that are kind of unprecedented, like X-raying every battery before they put it in the phone to make sure it's manufactured properly. And they said, as a result, we are going to be able to stick with the Note brand. We think the next Note will be safe, and I imagine it will, although I won't be the first one to go to bed with one. They also say they're going to delay the Galaxy S8, which is, usually the S8 comes out in the spring, the Note comes out in the fall. The S8 will come out after Mobile World Congress this year. And I think there's a reason they're delaying it till April, because they've cornered the market on the Snapdragon 835, and no one can make a phone with a Snapdragon 835 until Samsung's comes out. So the longer they wait, the better it is for them. Incidentally, quarterly results out for both Samsung and LG. Samsung actually had a great quarter. They survived the Note fiasco. They had written it off in the previous quarter and made a lot of money. Not so good for LG, which is frankly lagging in its sales of its most recent phone. And it increasingly feels like Samsung is dominating the Android space, just as Apple dominates the iOS space. Anything else? What else can we talk about?
I can do till 6:30 if you want to keep going.
Okay.
I have to test my Japan connection at 6:40.
Oh, so you're going to Skype in? Yeah.
I have to do a talk in an hour, and then I have to do another one about 2 in the morning.
EFF, by the way, we were talking about net neutrality and the EFF. EFF has a 100-day plan, which they announced a few days before the inauguration, for how they want to deal with a Trump era. They say, hey, we sued Clinton, we sued Bush, we sued Obama. I think you can see where we're going with this. The big four: surveillance, net neutrality, press freedom. We will continue to defend digital rights in court. The EFF, I think people may not know that the Electronic Frontier Foundation sees as its mandate going to court. That's what they do. Different organizations do different things, but the EFF was founded to pursue policy changes through court cases. So suing is what they do. We will test and leverage the Freedom of Information Act, and today they filed their first FOIA request for Trump documents. So we'll see. That's one of many court fronts that the president is fighting on, but that FOIA request is an interesting angle.
It's interesting that, did you see the group, one of the groups that was behind the Panama Papers said that they would very much like to do the same thing for Trump. So if anyone has any documents, feel free to send them.
Yeah, everybody's looking for leaks.
Oh, yeah, Intercept, ProPublica, the media is thirsty for leaks.
Yeah.
Well, and civil servants will be fascinating when you have the Park Service folks.
Yeah, look at it. And look at the
are now subtweeting brilliantly.
Isn't that weird?
Yeah,
So Trump banned the Park Service from tweeting, and as a result, they created a unofficial account. They say you can't stop us from doing it on our free time. Yeah,
even so, at the official one, at the Death Valley one, they did as soon as Trump started talking about keeping immigrants out, they started talking about Manzanar.
Wow,
brilliant subtweeting, brilliant.
Isn't the Department of Defense, are they also subtweeting him?
Really?
That was the
NASA
most.
was.
Let's
NASA
see.
was,
Hold
yeah.
on.
So here's the interesting thing. All that the National Park Service, not the tweets about the crowds, but all that the Badlands Park Service.
The Badlands one is the
account. The only
thing
it was doing was tweeting actual facts about climate change.
Well, and then and they weren't. So I'm not sure whether they were blocked and came back, but they are back now. So
they were ordered to remove the tweets.
Well, Spicer
came
denied
back. The
that it
tweets
came
are back.
from the White House.
Right.
But
the tweets are back?
Yeah, I believe so. You can check.
Okay, because they said that someone got access to the account who wasn't supposed to, or there were multiple stories. We were out shoveling snow, I think was one of them. But it was interesting to me that all they were really doing was posting facts. And in this
no facts allowed.
Posting an actual fact is seen as somehow subversive.
Maybe they aren't.
Well,
back.
it is.
I thought I'd seen that they were back. But
yeah, it's just frightening that is subversive. Posting facts is actually subversive.
So the Department of Defense, it's an open question because on January 23rd, they did something. They tweeted, social media postings sometimes provide an important window into a person's mental health. Know what to look for.
Well, that is a little snarky.
And then
but that's the thing, you don't know.
You don't know.
Tweet?
Oh.
They did a story about from refugee to Marine. This particular corporal, Ali J. Muhammad, takes the fight to the doorsteps of those who cast his family out. And this is 10 hours ago, soon after Trump announced his nobody can come in plan.
One of the things that seems most reprehensible to me, Trump reversed a order to prevent companies from dumping toxics upstream of water treatment plants, which seems on the face of it a bad idea. But this was an EPA regulation, which has been reversed. I think it was reversed yesterday. And then instructed the EPA not to say any, gag order. You can't say anything about it.
Right.
So he kills the clean water rule and then says, oh, by the way, EPA, you're not to say a word one way or the other. Now, I think this is, I believe, on Trump's part, a misinterpretation of the role of the president. Some have called it not authoritarian, but personification. Where the person of the president trumps, to use a pun, all other agencies. And it's not that way normally. Normally, the president is an employee of the U.S. people. He puts directors in charge of agencies, but the agencies still have some autonomy. He doesn't have total control over everything
but we
happens.
Know, I mean, that's not a surprise, right? I mean,
it's not a surprise that he's attempting it. It'll be very interesting to see how this plays out. He can't already. It seems, and I mean, the Washington Post has these inside the White House leaks that kind of imply that the president can't even control his aides, staff, and household members.
And
it's not just that; he can't control himself. I mean, the one thing that comes out of that article is as soon as he sees something on TV that makes him mad,
he tweets
he sees a tweet. Yeah,
Maggie Haberman, who's a great New York Times correspondent, had a tweet stream just this afternoon about this. How he gets overtired and watches TV.
Me too.
Yeah,
me too.
But you're not running the free world with the.
Most of Twitter is that.
And then
people who should be eating and sleeping more.
Then he orders the Park
Ariana.
Service to delete their tweets or whatever.
Or then he says, we're going to send the military into Chicago.
Right. And
technically that was just the feds.
Someone went through a bunch of his tweets and pegged them to whatever was on Fox News at the time. So if he happens to be watching Fox News,
well, and that was one of the leaks, by the way, that I think the Washington Post got, that Trump was watching a network news report about murders in Chicago, and then tweeted. He's sitting there and tweeted immediately, "We're going to send the feds in." Interestingly, we had reported earlier, as had the New York Times, that the president's beloved Android phone was taken away from him and replaced with a secure phone. It turns out now that it was not, or he got it back, and that's what he has at night when he's in the residence and he's watching TV. He has his old Samsung phone. And Edward Snowden tweeted earlier today, I wonder what we think it's a Galaxy, Samsung Galaxy, but we don't know what vintage. He said this could be a massive security. Well, this could be a massive security problem if it's not running the latest Android, which many Galaxy phones are not.
Well, security to do what? If you except finding out where he is, what could it do?
Well, this is another thing: is that
is he taking the emails? I mean, are his emails coming into that phone?
This is another hacker pointed out that both the POTUS account and Real Donald Trump are tied to not government mail servers,
personal servers,
but to Gmail.
Right. Oh Lord!
And all of the top people have Republican mail accounts on the Republican servers,
and easily guessed email addresses. For instance, a hacker pointed out that Pence's Twitter account points back to an email, because you can ask for, and it will show you with asterisks. That's V *** Esident at gmail.com. Oh no, Esident 2017 at gmail.com. And so, and the hacker said, as soon as you know what that email address is for the Twitter reset, they're not using two-factor, he said. As soon as you there's very insecure. As soon as you know what that email address is, then you have a target and you can go after their Gmail address. Now, I should point out, I presume, and I would hope, that at POTUS at least has higher protections both from Twitter and from the Secret Service.
You would hope.
One would hope.
You would hope. Although, technically, isn't Mike Pence the one doing most of the policy making? Because Trump is not really...
He's busy.
Wasn't that what he...
No, I think it's Bannon.
Trump is making policy on Twitter at 3 o'clock in the morning.
Well, it's interesting because, so Trump tweeted at Real Donald Trump, I will send in the feds, but then at POTUS retweeted it. So at POTUS is being used. I don't know how this works. Is that Bannon or Conway or somebody?
I don't know.
Retweeting the Real Donald Trump? In any event, all of this seems like a bad idea. And I think one of the reasons you're seeing the leaks to the Washington Post is some of his aides seem to be a little frustrated, hoping that they said, we're trying to get him to watch less TV because he gets excited.
If someone, I mean, think about how people feel after they watch Fox News.
I want to tweet.
Right. And so if that's your policy engine, that is a real issue.
I mean, that's what you see on Twitter. It's just that maybe this isn't. So this is what the Park Service is doing. Alt U.S. Nat Park Service, the unofficial resistance team of the U.S. National Park Service, not taxpayer subsidized, come for rugged scenery, fossil beds, 1 million acres of landscape. And they've tweeted a pretty insulting cartoon. Donald Trump saying, I decide what is the truth. I alone control what you could say or hear. Listen only to me, obey me, love me. And the National Park Service tweeting, nope.
So according to this independent story, POTUS is actually run by Dan Scavino, who's Trump's director of social media.
But he's retweeting Real Donald Trump, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah, right. Also, Scavino's a fan of InfoWars conspiracy theories, apparently.
It's just an interesting time we live in.
That's one word for it.
Yeah. We don't even have to talk about the face of neocolonialism in Hawaii, Mark Zuckerberg.
That really sounded actually, like just trying to get the landowners to come out of the woodwork. Everything I read about that doesn't look like he's evil. It's I just want to know who owns this.
The more I read about it, the more it seemed to me like that's a common strategy that you have to use to find out who the heck has access rights to your land because of the way Hawaii works. It didn't sound to me like it was just Mark Zuckerberg being a dick.
He wasn't trying to get them not to walk across his land?
No,
he's trying to find out who they were so that he could pay
He doesn't
them.
know. Yeah, he doesn't know who has the rights to own that land. This is kind of the equivalent of your state running those "you may have unclaimed property" ads, except he has to sue to get the information.
It goes by family, and so there could be family members who have rights of access, but they may not even know it.
Maka'ala Kaumoana, the executive director of an environmental group in Honolulu, Kauai, said the lawsuits would help identify and inform descendants of links to the land they may not know about, which is a good thing. The optics aren't good.
Right. But I mean, as soon as Mark Zuckerberg does anything, the optics instantly become bad.
Right. Another Hawaiian state representative, Kane'ela Ing of Maui, said Zuckerberg is saying he wants to respect the local culture. I was always taught if there was a dispute with somebody, you go and knock on their door, you sit down, and you kuka, and you hupo no no pono.
But he doesn't know who they are.
But he doesn't know. He can't knock on their door. That's kind of the point.
Not like they live there.
That person's being disingenuous.
So he just really wants to kuka.
It's like their great-great-grandfather had access rights.
It's like Ajit Pai. We don't know what he's going to do yet. He may kuka.
Oh, you're throwing Ajit Pai in my face.
I am. You know why? Because I have to leave. I was going like,
she was throwing pie at me. Can you wait 1 minute, or do you really have to go now?
I will wait. This is your warning. This is your 5-minute warning.
It is really past time. So let me just quickly mention our ad because I want to get. Do you have a thing for us?
I can.
Would you prefer to do a thing before the ad?
That would be better because I do have to pick up my child and I don't want to leave her waiting.
Oh, no. We don't want to leave your child waiting at her...
at her school.
Her special school for extra intelligent children.
Her special school.
No, I figure she goes to some genius school, don't you think?
She does. She's in genius school.
The school for peculiar children?
For the gifted. For the
gifted child. Miss Peregrine's school for gifted children.
Light switch. I just need to get the pricing on this because I'm bad. I think it's $50, but I don't want to make that up. Oh, it is. All right.
Good guess. You can almost. You know what? You do this long enough, Stacy. Isn't it true? You can almost always guess the price.
I can guess the
game
range.
show where you guess the prices.
Yeah, within like $10.
Yes. The IoT. What's
Game
that called?
show.
Price is Right.
Price is Right.
Yeah, you should do the prices right.
Oh, that's
IoT
another
show.
thing we should do in our Game of Geeks. Guess the price.
Ooh, I want to play that game. Okay. I have for you. Can I give it to you or no?
Give it to me.
All right, here you guys
Wait,
go.
I don't mean the boxing glove from behind the monitor.
What? Bam!
Ah!
Oh, Pavlok. Do you know what that is?
I do.
So just put one of those on and I'll just zap you from afar.
I don't want.
You're like, no.
Becky Worley put one on me and it hurt.
It does hurt. Every time you call me hun, though, I'd be like,
I haven't called you hun ever since that day.
Is this behavior?
Once. I called you honey once.
Oh, she
and
remembers and she's bitter.
It was somewhat,
I am just teasing you. It is so fun.
That's why I want the boxing glove, because at least there'd be immediate and direct retribution.
Stacy prefers
right.
sweetie.
I wouldn't have to suffer.
Honey, so.
Sweetie, darling.
Call me sweetie. Would I mind? No.
This is the Eve HomeKit compatible light switch, and I'm showing it to you because I'm going to install it, and I won't be able to show it to you once it's on my wall. So here's the back. Ta-da! Those are the wires I'm going to attach. This is only good for one-way lights. It's not good for three-way lights. It works via Bluetooth, and this is a capacitive touch panel, so you can actually do more than just go on off.
You can go around.
You could go clockwise or
counterclockwise.
I actually don't know if those are supported motion jet, but I'll let you know next week.
But there are motions? That's kind of cool.
You can, I think it's a touch, like long touch, multi-tap.
Wow.
I don't know how many options
I need a manual to turn on the bloody
good
lights
touch and
now.
bad touch?
Of
course there is, Leo.
Leo.
Stop
Okay.
touching
so
me. It does.
The reason I bring this up is
Call him
because
hun.
the only other option for you with HomeKit has been, and the lighting for the switches, not for light bulbs, because Hue works with HomeKit, is Lutron. So, but you have to buy the Lutron bridge, which right now I think is like $80, and then you have to buy a $65 Lutron compatible switch. So this is at $50, a little bit cheaper, and you don't have a bridge. So that's all I'm showing this to you
The
guys.
only negative, and Dr. Morbius brings this up, is of that flat thing, is you can't really tell if it's off or on. There's no kind of physical indicator.
The light is off or on.
Well, I know you say that, but
why do people say this all the time?
okay, I'll tell you why. I'll tell you why. I have this situation in my kitchen. I have many, many, many lights in my kitchen, all controlled by switches. And I can look up at the lights, and some are on, some are off, but I can't be sure which set is on properly. But when I look at the switch, I know, oh, yeah, I need to still turn that one off.
So with something like this, that's where the multi-touch blah, blah, blah comes in handy. You can actually, in the fact that it's programmable, you can actually just be like, all of my kitchen lights work on this button. And when I do this motion, only the ones over the sink turn on, or however you want to do that. I mean,
Interesting.
you guys are still in this analog stateful mindset. Really need to get into this digital.
So limited.
Gosh, this on-off switch is so primitive. And by the way, you can talk to it too, right? It has an Eve app.
Siri.
What?
Via Siri, yeah.
Yes, it's HomeKit compatible. This is the HomeKit
Oh, so
light switch.
that's the feature of HomeKit, right? Of course.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that is my thing for you this week. Next week, we'll have to figure this out because I bought a June oven. And if you guys want,
did
I
it.
can
You
show.
pulled the trigger.
Cookies
they
for all.
advertised on my show, and I took their check, and I was like, you know what I'm going to do with this?
Buy an oven.
I'm going to buy a June oven. I've been wanting it
Boy,
forever,
that's
and finally,
putting your money where your mouth is. That's good.
yeah.
I did
So-
that with a Ford vehicle.
I feel
No,
better.
seriously. I felt like if I'm going to do ads for Ford, I better drive a Ford. So I got a Mustang.
You got it. And now he has a Tesla.
I was about to say,
Yeah, unfortunately, Tesla does not advertise.
So
No.
before you
They
leave,
don't have to.
Android Central. Have you seen this? Android Central has done detective work to figure out what phone Trump uses.
Yeah, what?
It's an S3.
They determined it's an S3.
Oh, my God. It's way out of date.
oh, they
Released
don't
in
even support
2012,
that
last
anymore.
updated 2015 on Jelly Bean.
Yeah.
He's on Jelly Bean at best. Oh, how did they figure that out?
Look, it's brilliant.
Oh, they could
there were
see it.
two pictures of him with his phone. They figured out where the headphone jack is and where the camera is and so on.
Good detective work. No guarantee
good
that
work.
that's
It's
his
very good
actual phone. That could have been, some staffer.
Is
handed
that
it to him.
now?
Could have been a prop.
Yeah, that's an old picture. That's not that old.
No.
That's February 2016, less than a year old.
I just assumed he was using a flip phone.
No, I remember. See, he had an iPhone, and then when he said we should boycott Apple, he switched to a Samsung.
After he tweeted about boycotting Apple from his iPhone.
Right. Well, then he realized, I better switch.
Sorry to hold you, Stacy. I'll let you find that interesting.
Stacy,
All right.
have a wonderful day.
Bye, you guys.
Go
Good to
get-
see you again, Matthew.
Great to
Bye.
see you.
Yeah,
tell
you too.
Tell your daughter it's good to stay after school.
She
So Mommy
has.
can do
She's
the
been there
show.
for 2 hours.
Oh, geez.
Oh,
Oh, geez. Now I feel
She's
bad.
at a program. She's fine.
For
She's
gifted
not like
children.
waiting outside.
She's at a program.
Mom.
She's doing calculus or
Yeah,
something.
she's in her AP statistics. That's good.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Stacy Higginbotham.
y'all.
Stacy on
Bye,
IoT.com.
Stacy.
And, of course, the IoT podcast she does with Kevin Toffel at GigaStacy on Twitter, where she still reads occasional messages. Bye, Stacy. Oh. Ow. We're not done because I'm going to keep you around for a little bit longer. But while we're rearranging the set, let's talk about Betterment. A better way to invest. Make sure you and your family are set for financial success with Betterment. It is the largest independent automated investing service. More than $5.5 billion now under investment, 180,000 customers. And they're smart. They do it right. The portfolio they create for you is designed to achieve optimal results no matter how much you're investing. And incidentally, there is no minimum to get started. Betterment's goal-based investing framework An advice algorithm will let you know if you're on track in seconds, whether it's retirement or a rainy day fund. They can help you invest at a fraction of what you'd pay for traditional financial services. Save up to 600% on fees. That's important because fees go right off the top of your earnings, so you're going to keep more of your money. There's never a trade, transaction, or rebalancing fee. You can also sync your outside investments into your Betterment dashboard so you'll know exactly where you stand on all your investments. If you're planning for retirement, planning for college, this is the way to do it. Through diversification, that's really important. They do it better than ever, than anybody. Automated rebalancing, lower fees. You can expect a 4.3% higher return than your typical DIY investor. They've got smart deposits. I like that because that means I'm saving all the time automatically and automatically invest in excess cash. They've got a retire guide that provides a consolidated review of your retirement and figures out where you stand if you have a retirement gap. Every time you make a deposit or receive dividends, Betterment will automatically, intelligently rebalance your portfolio. That's one of the most important things you can do on your investment. Make sure you're not over long on stocks or long on bonds. You want to make sure it's balanced or international, It'll do it all for you. And because it's end-to-end investing, you get faster cash transfers. Tax forms are available at the earliest possible date. And of course, it's completely secure. If you need help, support specialists available 7 days a week, 365 days a year. It's automated, but it's still made of people. Smart technology with real people. Investing involves risk. Right now, get 1 month managed free when you make an initial deposit of $10,000 or more at betterment.com/twig. Betterment.com/twig. Matthew Ingram is here from fortune.com. Always great to have you, Matthew, and Jeff Jarvis from the City University of New York, where he teaches journalism. He's also a legend on the rubber chicken circuit. I don't know if that's true. They don't have rubber chicken at Davos. It's probably like chicken diavolo.
One dish I had there, the translation didn't quite work. They served beef cheekies.
Sounds good.
I've had beef cheeks. It is
this
quite
is beef
good.
cheekies.
Cheekies.
Little cheekies. Cut them off and eat them now.
So Twitter, Instagram, Twitter and Facebook have been doing live for a long time. Instagram next week will be doing live streaming in their stories page. Everybody agrees that this is the future. I've been doing live streaming for a little longer than that, but that live streaming is it. In fact, I saw an interesting article that's saying a lot of conservative and even alt-right publishers are turning to live streaming on Facebook as kind of their own TV channel.
It's the new Fox News.
During the protests in Washington, I'm not talking about the Women's March, but there were some violent protests independent of the Women's March in Washington, D.C. A number of alt-right, they talk about one alt-right guy who was streaming live the whole time, covering it like CNN, but using Facebook to do it.
Do you remember Trump doing that during the campaign from the Trump Tower?
Yeah, right before the debate, he had like a
Trump
panel
TV.
of mistresses, Clinton's mistresses panel. That wasn't at all inflammatory.
No,
I didn't watch that. Did you watch? Has anybody seen that?
Ooh.
What was that like? Well, I can't even imagine what that would have been like. I
watched one of the sort of Trump TV broadcasts where they had a couple of hosts behind a desk at Trump Tower. They interviewed a Trump surrogate of some kind.
Yeah.
I wonder, since
it was like cable access, in the 70s.
Yeah, it's kind of cheesy, but it's
between two ferns or something.
It's direct.
Which
it's pretty clear Trump is very much playing to his core in a lot of the things he does. And but he hasn't been doing this since the inauguration. Will they go back to doing that kind of thing? I wonder. Remember, he did some YouTube. Did quite a few YouTube speeches and
definitely Facebook. I think Bannon is a big believer in that, and I think if it's not Breitbart or something like that, then they'd be happy to do their own direct stuff.
Right.
It's what Trump has said he likes about Twitter is it allows them to do an end run around
Every president wants
media.
that. That's Reagan did his radio. Every president
FDR.
wanted that. FDR started it with Fireside Chat.
Yeah, but he has Twitter.
Twitter's better suited
About
to
as long as his
nature.
attention span, and he can make his pronouncements, and they get quoted all over. It's a lot easier to quote Twitter than it
Great
is
way
video.
to drive the news. Fact is, you do something long on video. No, it's not going to drive any news, but a tweet everybody can see and respond to immediately.
In fact, in an interview, Sean Spicer, the press secretary, said he basically checks Twitter first thing in the morning
to know what the
see
boss
what Trump tweeted so that he will know what is going on.
Wow.
Well, I asked a large PR company head in Davos. I said, "Do you have a staff that's up at 3 a.m. To watch his tweets?" And he said, "Yes."
Well, you have to.
Every company in America probably has somebody designated to keep an eye on what's going on in the middle of the night. Has the president been tweeting though in the middle of the night? I think
As early as
Early, but not.
6 o'clock. Yeah,
Not in the middle.
that's what. So
Not like 3 o'clock.
So he used to get up
But
pretty
I don't
early. I saw one story that said he now gets up around 6 a.m., watches TV in the residence, and then comes down, has breakfast off the Oval Office. There's a dining room, TV's on there, and then at 9 a.m. Comes into the Oval Office to start taking meetings. So now you can start 3 a.m. West Coast, 6 a.m. Eastern.
exactly.
Yeah.
He watches Morning Joe apparently for an hour, and then switches to Fox and Friends.
Well, our
and
good
his,
friend Clayton Morris is soon to be a good buddy of the president.
His media consumption habits, a close friend said that he believes the New York Post is the paper of record.
He won't read the Daily News, though.
Oh, no.
Anyway, I started this by talking about the fact that now Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram are all going to have live streaming video, and then there's still, I guess, Periscope and Meerkat went away, but it's funny because I read these stories and go, oh, I should do that, and they go, oh, never mind. I don't. The last thing I want to do is stream live video when I go home.
What I thought was interesting was that Digital Content Next did an analysis of what publishers are getting from Facebook and Google and Twitter and I think Snapchat in terms of revenue. And because a lot of them have been pouring a lot of resources into Facebook Live and building Snapchat teams and doing Google AMP and so on. And actually the returns have been fairly meager so far. It was surprising to me how little they're actually getting out of that.
Yeah, but it's a small set of 19. You don't know who's in that set.
Yeah.
And a lot of these companies are not going all in. They're just testing things. So it's interesting. Yes, I agree, but I don't think it's terribly indicative of the potential.
Interesting move by Mark Zuckerberg's charitable foundation, the Chan Zuckerberg initiative. They acquired this. This is actually, I think, is really great. A science search engine called Meta. Scientific journals are an interesting thing. That most cases the research is public research paid for with public dollars or university money, but it's often behind a paywall, often a very expensive paywall, where other scientists and researchers don't have easy access to it. In fact, this was what got Jonathan Schwartz in so much trouble. He wrote a little tool to suck one of the paid journal repositories. I can't remember which one. Was it LexisNexis? One of them dry at MIT, and that's what got him arrested and eventually led to his a trial and suicide. Meta is an interesting one. They bought it and they're gonna make it available as a free tool. It's a search engine. It uses artificial intelligence optimized for scientific research. So the goal, they say, of Chan Zuckerberg's initiative's goal is to break down some of the barriers that preclude the sharing of information, thereby encouraging scientific progress.
I wish they had funded Sci-Hub. Have you heard of that?
No, is that another one, or is that the open one?
Sci-Hub is basically the Pirate Bay of academic journals. It's got 48 million journal articles that have been liberated, quote unquote, from
it's from Kazakhstan.
Academic.
Wow.
Yeah. It's quite the venture. If you believe in academic freedom or freedom of information.
It's bad for society. It seems criminal that these companies are monetizing research that was paid for by taxpayers.
And in some cases, I think government agencies have made it a condition that if grant money funds research, it has to be made public.
Let me just real quickly look at the Aaron Schwartz story. I'm trying to remember. JSTOR was the one. He had a guest account on JSTOR at MIT, and he used it to attempt to...
He hooked his laptop up to a server.
To image it, yeah. To free it. Free the journals. Anything else you guys want to talk about before we get to tips and numbers and tools and all that?
No, I think we did it.
Well, I thought it was interesting that Facebook has made some changes to trending topics.
Oh yeah,
they continue to try and tweak kind of how that functions to. So now you will no longer get personalized trending topics, which I thought was interesting.
So does that mean they're no longer algorithmic? Does it just?
No, they'll be algorithmic.
Well, I'm sure they're algorithmic to some extent. Yeah, I mean,
it'll be the same
how they calculate.
By which I mean the algorithm, kind of non-algorithm, would just be what are the most reshared articles. Algorithmic would
or
be
on some formula. Yeah, I mean, I still think it's a crappy feature.
Yeah.
They also they did something that I think was designed to make the quality better, which was they're not just going to make a trend if it's the most shared. They're going to look at the most shared articles from a range of sort of professional sources. So,
that's interesting.
Hopefully, I think they're hoping that will get rid of some of the news articles from the website that the Macedonian teens put together.
Right.
That didn't exist.
Oh, you're right, Matthew. If I look down, the third one down, Breitbart.
Well,
Breitbart's the house organ of the White House now. So,
Fox News, USA Today.
Well, you're
USA
getting different ones than me.
Patch.
I'm getting Joss Whedon, Linda McMahon, who's been right in the middle of her confirmation hearings. Constance Wu, who tweeted.
I'm looking at the source. I'm looking at the sources, not the.
The sources. Okay.
Queen of Peace is my first one. No, you're different. Chelsea Clinton is next. Joss Whedon next. Linda McMahon. 2017 Ford GT. Rafa Nadal. Tim Daly. Ernest Borgnine. John Elway. And Cards Against Humanity. Those are mine.
Have you been shopping for Ford GTs by any chance?
Yeah, I don't know. Do I look like a GT driver?
You kind of do. I bought a new TV.
Do you have anything, Matthew Ingram, you want to pick as a pick of the week of any kind?
Pick of the week.
Anything you like these days you want to talk about? Mine flamed out last week. None of them worked.
What do you mean none of them worked?
I was like, one of them was a website, a YouTube website that did little clips, random clips of videos that hadn't been viewed ever. Zero views. It was really cool.
Didn't work?
No, I don't. In fact, what was it? Do you remember what it was, Karsten? Because I could go. Or Karsten's not here. I could go back. I could go back to it and see if it's working now. Because it was it was like as if you're viewing it from space. Like if you were viewing the planet Earth and you just had a magic camera that would let you see what was going on.
That sounds interesting.
Yeah, it was. I really liked it, but it didn't work.
Did you ever see that site that just aggregated webcams that had the default password?
Yes, that's still around. Shodan. Yeah. That's a great site. Lots of site. Watch YouTube videos with 0 views. Apparently, that's a very, very.
Have you seen Lion?
No, what's Lion?
It's a movie about.
The movie. Yeah, no, I haven't. I want to see that. Dev Patel. Yeah,
I do too.
It's fantastic. It's really, really
a lot of Oscar nominations. All right,
you will probably cry a lot.
So I hear.
Yeah, but it's extremely well done. But you know what struck me when I was watching it? I remember when that story came out that he had found his village on Google Earth, and Google Earth was relatively new at the time, and I remember thinking to myself. I remember thinking this even when Google Earth first came out and everyone in my office was looking at their street or whatever. I just remember thinking that it was one of those moments when you stop and you think that you're living in the future. That it was so. I don't know. It just seemed so sci-fi. It just seemed so futuristic that I didn't think it could possibly be happening, let alone be free for you to zoom in on anywhere on the globe. And now we're so used to it. I was watching the movie and I was thinking, man, that looks like crap. The interface is terrible. You can't do street view. The buildings aren't 3D. And I've gotten so used to zooming in on
everything is
any
amazing
area.
And nobody's happy, right?
Right.
Yep.
But I mean, it is
like Wi-Fi on the
mind-boggling when you
plane.
think about it. Our ability to do that it's fantastic.
We live in,
We're so
in
used to it.
remarkable times, and we take them totally for granted, obviously, yeah. That's why we should all be happy. We'll all be happy. Happy. What's your number of the week, Jeff Jarvis?
Well, I lost most of them, but I got one left.
Oh, you mean we used them?
That's okay. That's all right. That's all right. We didn't do how many ads Google killed in 2016. No, that's a good one. Did we do that?
No, we
one?
did not do it.
All right, good. It killed 1.7 billion ads, including fake news ads.
Whoa. Now, I remember the payday loan ads. They killed all of those.
68 million unapproved pharmaceuticals, 80 million for deceiving and shocking users, 5 million payday loans.
But I like those ads.
The shocking ones.
They blocked a
Trick
bunch
to
of
click ads
advertisers
containing
too, right?
malware, 112 million.
Oh, my God. Wait a minute. That's a significant number. 112 million ads containing malware.
Malware, yep.
Whoa.
Wow.
And 1,300 for so-called tabloid cloaking, which is their odd phrase for fake news. And that they admit is going to go up this year.
That's a tiny number, actually.
Yeah, these are just ads, mind you. But
They
it's a
blocked a
lot
bunch of publishers too, didn't they?
I think that was more effective, where they said to the Macedonian kids, you can't use AdSense anymore.
Yeah, they blocked something
which
like
Facebook
200
too.
publishers.
Yeah. Because that's really how that stuff works, is that, if you can't monetize it, they can go to other
Right.
places.
That was the whole reason why they did it.
Right.
It's not that they care about, Trump or Clinton.
Well, good for Google.
Yep. So that's my number.
Yep. A good number. I have another number. It's kind of self-serving, one of our advertisers. But the Ring video doorbell just raised a third round of funding, valuing them at $200 million. What was the size of the round? I think it was a $100 million round of venture funding. So good on Ring. They're really knocking it out of the park. I did not know this. They did a deal with a neighborhood in Los Angeles with the police department there to put Ring doorbells on 1 in 10 houses in the area to cut crime. With apparently good effect.
That's pretty cool.
I think that's really neat. Yeah, bravo. Yeah. They raised, we mentioned, I think I had mentioned in the ads that $28 million from Richard Branson was their first round, but then since then they had a second round of funding from Goldman Sachs and Qualcomm Ventures, and now they're on a Series D round, $109 million additional investment. So a big success.
They're growing.
Yeah.
Have you heard of 60dB?
No, what's that?
So I wrote about them just recently at Fortune. It's an audio startup, and the news hook for the piece I wrote about was that they have integrated with the Echo, and basically they bring in not just all the podcasts you might want from like NPR and all the usual sources, but a whole range of audio. So they actually take the audio from video clips. Like if you like Seth Meyers, segment on his show, you can get just the audio of that, and you can basically control that through the Echo. So you can walk around your house and say, give me the news from the top kind of sources that 60dB has, and
it's on my screen here. It.
Yeah, I thought it was
really. So it's like it's clips from shows.
Yeah, and regular podcasts and pretty much anything audio they're trying to get.
And you can do it. You can do it on the internet, but they also have an iOS app.
Yeah,
I'm just signing in on the internet now,
And the app and the Echo coordinate, obviously. So if you leave your house, you can seamlessly move it from
that's cool.
Echo to your phone.
So I'm going to pick these subjects. And, this is great.
So basically, it's two of the co-founders were early employees of Netflix, including one of the guys who came up with their recommendation engine. And so they're hoping to do something similar for audio.
So it's an Echo skill that I could say, okay, listen to 60 dB or something like that?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I
I'm
thought it sounded
signing up right
like
now.
I said,
That sounds
I haven't
great.
tried it
Yeah.
because I don't have one, but
Yeah, that sounds really great.
I should probably go.
We're going to let you go. We're going to let Matthew Ingram go. We're going to let everybody go because we have come to the end of this show. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. Thank you, Jeff Jarvis from the City University of New York. BuzzMachine.com is his blog, at Jeff Jarvis. We didn't get to talk about Medium today, but we'll talk about some next week.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. So what's going? Yeah, we will.
What's going on there?
Mm-hmm.
By the way, I noticed TwitBits is in the 60db.co. We got it. I had it pick some technology stuff, and I'm in there, so that's good.
Right.
We like that. Your next gaming PC might be a notebook. Look at that. This was generated for me automatically. This is really cool. And Windows Weekly's in there too. I guess they must like what we do. I'm sure there's some Twig in here somewhere.
Where are we?
Yeah. Where's Twig? Well, it's using TwitBits, which is smart because we pre-edit those down to a few minutes, and so
it fits better.
That makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah.
Matthew Ingram's at Fortune, where he's an editor covering the world, and you got to read him regularly at Matthew I, MATHEWI. Or it could be Math, ooey, on the Twitter.
It could be.
Could be Math, ooey. Thank you all for being here. We do This Week in Google every Wednesday. It's kind of my last show of my week. My weekend is tomorrow and Friday. I know you don't care about that. I just threw that in as a personal note to make you think I'm a normal human being. We do this show 1:30 p.m. Pacific, 4:30 p.m. Eastern Time, 21:30 UTC. Twit.tv or youtube.com/live, or on your Roku or your Apple TV. Use one of the Twit apps. There's lots of ways to watch live. If you do, please join us in the chat room at irc.twit.tv. But of course, you can watch at your leisure anytime by just downloading a show. In fact, what I'd do is I would subscribe if I were you. Just visit your favorite podcast application and look for Twig. Thanks, everybody, for joining us. See you next time on This Week in Google. Bye-bye.